Ever get the feeling there's this whole hidden world behind AI? Like we talk about algorithms and learning, but how does it even get to the learning part? What's going on under the hood?
It's easy to get caught up in the magic of it all, right? But imagine trying to learn, say, Mandarin, but you've never even seen the characters before. That's kind of the situation AI is in.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So where do tokenizers fit into this? It's about teaching AI to read before it can learn. Is that it?
You got it. Today's deep dive is all about tokenizers, those unsung heroes making sure AI doesn't just stare blankly at our language.
And we've got a great guide for this, right? Mark Craddock's article with that Wardley map. I admit, maps and AI aren't usually my jam, but this one clicked for me.
Craddock's good at making the complex clear, which is essential here. He actually uses this analogy of deciphering a book written in a language you don't know. Tokenization takes our messy, complex human language and makes it digestible for AI.
So we're talking more than just turning sentences into words, right? Because if AI only got that much, it'd be lost half the time online.
Exactly. Think about slang, emojis, hashtags, all that stuff evolves faster than dictionaries can keep up. Craddock points out those early attempts, just splitting text at spaces, those totally flopped with certain languages or anything new and creative.
Makes sense you can't teach AI grammar if it can't even tell where one word ends and another begins, so how'd they solve that?
Things got a lot more sophisticated. We moved from word-based tokenization to subword tokenization. Instead of whole words, AI started learning the building blocks within words.
Hold on, so it's like AI learning to read the way we do as kids, sounding out the parts before getting the whole word?
Precisely. Take something like hashtag blessed. A basic tokenizer sees that and panics. But with subword tokenization, it learns hashtag, it learns blessed, it even learns that the hashtag symbol implies a combined meaning.
So it's not just vocab, it's like AI is learning grammar, but on a way deeper level than we're usually aware of.
Exactly, and that's what lets it handle slang, new words, even gibberish, and figure out what, if any, meaning it has based on the parts. Craddock gets into the weeds with some examples, BPE, WordPiece, but the takeaway is there are options, each with its own strengths, depending on what you need your AI to do.
Okay, so this is where it goes from neat concept to something anyone working with AI actually cares about, right? The choice of tokenizer has real impact.
Huge impact. Let's say you're dealing with a massive data set. BPE is known for handling that efficiently. But maybe you need extreme precision, nuanced understanding. WordPiece might be your go-to. Craddock's Wordley map is brilliant for visualizing this. It's not just the tokenizer, it's how it fits into the whole AI development ecosystem.
So we're talking about the whole ecosystem now, the data sources, the algorithms being used. It's all connected.
And one of the most critical aspects Craddock highlights is security, which might surprise some people.
Secure. See, that's where my brain kind of glazes over. Like, I get hacking into systems, stealing data, but messing with how AI reads seems almost too fundamental.
And that's exactly what makes it such a sneaky vulnerability. We assume the tools themselves are neutral, right? But Craddock argues that without a strong security framework around tokenization, the whole AI system is at risk.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Paint me a picture here. What's a real-world example of how a tokenizer could be exploited?
Let's say there's a company. They're developing a sentiment analysis tool. The kind that figures out if people like a product based on online chatter.
So they're training their AI on what? Social media, reviews, all that.
Exactly. Huge data sets processed through their chosen tokenizer. But now imagine someone intentionally injects bad data into that stream. Craddock calls this data poisoning, and it can be incredibly subtle.
Okay, hold on. So instead of just stealing data, they're changing how the AI understands it at its core.
Precisely. Let's say that company we mentioned, maybe their product isn't doing so hot. Someone could flood the internet with fake positive reviews, all carefully worded to be picked up by the AI.
And since the AI has learned to read using that data, it wouldn't know the difference. It just sees positive sentiment everywhere.
And suddenly, their sentiment analysis tool is reflecting a completely manipulated reality, not actual public opinion. Could even sway investors, influence product development, all from something most people wouldn't even think to look for.
That's kind of terrifying, honestly. It makes you realize how much trust we put in these systems without even realizing it.
It's a huge responsibility,
Yeah.
and one Craddock doesn't shy away from. But this whole issue of data integrity also ties into where tokenization is headed next. Right now, even the most advanced systems are mostly about breaking language down into those basic units we discussed.
Words, subwords, all that. But we both know human communication is way more complex than that.
Exactly. Craddock talks about the move towards contextual tokenization, going beyond what is said to understanding how it's said.
So, like, AI getting sarcasm or understanding that the same phrase can mean totally different things depending on who's saying it and where.
Precisely. Imagine AI that can tell the difference between a tweet, a legal document, and a casual conversation, all while using the same basic vocabulary. That's the goal, at least.
That's mind-blowing, honestly. It's like we're not just teaching AI to read anymore, we're teaching it to think critically about what it's reading.
And that's where things get really exciting, but also a bit daunting. Because with that level of understanding comes a whole new set of ethical questions and challenges. But maybe that's a conversation for another deep dive.
You know, it's pretty amazing how far we've come just from asking that simple question. How does AI read? Now we're talking about AI understanding nuance, context, maybe even reading between the lines better than some humans I know.
It really shows the power of digging into these seemingly niche areas of AI, right? Craddock could have just focused on the technicalities of tokenization, but by
Yeah.
connecting it to these bigger issues of data security, the future direction of the field, that's where things get really interesting.
And it's got me thinking Craddock focuses on text, but we communicate with so much more than just words. What about things like images, music, even the tone of voice? Does AI need to tokenize those too to truly understand us?
You're hitting on one of the most exciting frontiers in AI research right now. Just like we break down text into those fundamental units, researchers are exploring how to do the same for all sorts of nonverbal communication. Imagine AI that can understand the emotions in a piece of music or the cultural significance of a certain image.
Or even something as subtle as body language in a video. AI could analyze posture, facial expressions, all those cues we might not even consciously register ourselves.
Exactly. And this isn't just futuristic speculation. We're already seeing huge strides in things like image recognition, natural language processing for audio. The next hurdle is combining those, creating AI that can process all that information simultaneously.
So instead of just reading a news report, AI could analyze the tone of the reporter's voice, the images being shown, the background music, and even compare it to thousands of other reports on the same topic, looking for inconsistencies or hidden biases.
Precisely. And that's just one example. Imagine AI that can understand the emotional impact of a movie scene, taking into account the soundtrack, the lighting, the actors' expressions, all those things that make us laugh, cry, or hide behind our couches.
It's like we're talking about AI developing a whole new kind of literacy, one that lets it understand not just what we say, but how we say it and what we don't say out loud.
It's a future with incredible potential, but as with any powerful tool, we need to be mindful of the ethical implications. As we build AI that understands us better, we need to make sure it's used responsibly, transparently, and for the benefit of everyone.
It's a good reminder that for all the amazing things AI can do, it's still just that, a tool. It's up to us to guide its development, to make sure it's used to create a better future, not just a more technologically advanced one.
Well said. And thanks to the work of people like Mark Craddock, who are asking these big questions and pushing the boundaries of what's possible, we're starting to see a path towards that future.
That wraps up our deep dive into the fascinating world of tokenizers. We've gone from the nitty-gritty of how AI reads to some pretty mind-blowing possibilities for the future. Hopefully, you've gained a new appreciation for these often overlooked pieces of the AI puzzle. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep exploring, and remember, there's always more to discover just beneath the surface.